Another year has come to an end, meaning it's time for another year-end recap. If you're unfamiliar with my recaps, they are unscripted, kind of string of conscious, go-with-the-flow videos where I just talk about, some of my thoughts in gaming from the year, what games I've been playing, what I'm looking forward to next year. So let's just get right into it. I started 2025 off finishing Mad Max on PS4, which I had started in the year previously. It was a suggestion from my brother, who was big into Mad Max, and overall I enjoyed the game. I thought it was fun. I especially liked the combat, which is kind of a weightier feeling Arkham. I did feel like the open world design went on a little too long. There was too much going on. It just kind of kept going on and on and on. The world was enormous. I am particular about my open world games. I tend to get overwhelmed with them. I tend to think they drag if the worlds don't feel very lived in. In the case of Mad Max, I kind of excused it because that's how Mad Max is. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland, so the more empty feeling of that wasteland did fit with Mad Max. So I'm not necessarily docking it for the emptiness like I would with other open world games. I just felt like there was way too much to do, and with very, very, very little variation between all of those things to do. So it kind of dragged by the end, or felt tedious by the end, I should say. But overall, I did enjoy it. I actually really liked the story that they were telling. I went and read the comic that was kind of loosely related to the game, just because I found it interesting. But I did really enjoy that. The next game I played was Retro Realms Halloween / Ash vs. Evil Dead. Technically it's two games, but I'm considering them one because the way the story works is that it basically crosses over both games with a direct story. There's 4 different characters to play. It's a solid, retro action platformer. You can play as Michael Myers or Laurie from Halloween, or Ash and Kelly from Evil Dead. You can play through all 4 characters on both the Ash vs. Evil Dead levels and the Halloween levels. They take inspiration from certain elements from both franchises. I found these games really fun. They're definitely challenging and have some quirks here and there, but I found that they were really well made. I really liked the graphics, an art style. They're kind of like these bit style graphics, but they were solid retro action platformers. I really liked them. Next game I played was Akimbot, which this was made by the guy who made Pumpkin Jack, which I reviewed in the past. It's a really fun throwback action platformer. It reminded me of, gameplay-wise, kind of reminded me of Ratchet and Clank meets Jak and Daxter. Aesthetically, it's very Ratchet Deadlocked. The way that the character looks and the way that the game feels, it's very much Ratchet Deadlocked. And personally, I thought it was very nice to play a game where the protagonist was a bit of an asshole again. I feel like, especially nowadays, the protagonists of games are extremely nice, or if they're two sides of the polar, right? They're either extremely nice or they're straight up villains. And so it was nice to have a game where the character was a hero. He wasn't a villain, but he was still an asshole. It reminded me of like that PS2 edgy era of gaming again, which I really liked. Then after that, I tried to play Ninja Gaiden Black. So I had never played the Ninja Gaiden games before. I had played like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, God of War, the other big 3 of the 4 big, character, quote-unquote, character action game franchises, and I had never played Ninja Gaiden. I have purchased over the years Ninja Gaiden Black, 2, and 3 Razor's Edge, and with 4 coming out this year, I had intended to play through all 3 of them in anticipation to play 4 when it came out. And so I started Ninja Gaiden Black, and I could not get through it. It had bested me. I only played on normal difficulty, which, it's not even the hardest thing. I feel like I should have been able to do it, but I was struggling every step of the way. I was not feeling like I was improving. I was not feeling like I was grasping the mechanics of the combat, and I got up to the part with the tank and just couldn't do it, and I just said, you know what, fuck it, I am done. I might come back to it in 2026, but yeah, it bested me this year, and I had to move on. It was just one of those things where I just didn't feel like I had it in me to complete it. But I was still in the mood for a action game, so when I dropped that, I ended up picking up and playing The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. It was fun. It was kind of janky, very basic. It's basically a stiffer, less polished Devil May Cry. It's rough around the edges, but it's still fun. I thought the rhythm sections that they included for the boss fights were, interesting and a good way to kind of incorporate the musical elements from the movie into the gameplay. After that, I started a replay of the Doom franchise in anticipation for the Dark Ages coming out. Starting with Doom 2016. It had probably been about 5 years or so since I last played it. It's still an absolute masterpiece. A bit harder in sections that I remember it being. I'm playing on Nightmare, of course, and it was certain sections were harder than I remembered from when I played it a couple years ago. But it's such a fantastic game, a modern classic, and I will always come back to replay this every couple of years because it is just one of the best games ever made. And then after that, of course, I jumped into Doom Eternal, which it had been a year or two since I last played that. And Doom Eternal is still, in my opinion, the pinnacle of game perfection. It is still my comfort game, my happy place. I love every single thing about it. And then after that, I played through the Ancient Gods DLC for Doom Eternal. In my opinion, the Ancient Gods Part 1 is still the best first-person shooter experience ever crafted. And then Tag 2 felt a lot harder than I remembered, especially the final boss, which was weird because I always thought the final boss was super easy when I played it, when it first came out, and I forgot how fun the escalation encounters were. Looking into it and kind of talking about it on Twitter, it does seem like the Tag 2 might have been patched since I last played it to make it a little bit harder, which could explain why I felt it was more challenging than I remembered, but that was just a note. Once I finished Doom Eternal, I moved on to the new Shantae Risky Revolution, which I dropped a full video for, and of course I really liked that. You can go watch my full video for my full thoughts about that game. Then I played Doom the Dark Ages when that came out. Also loved that game. Also did a full review. You can watch that video for my full thoughts about Doom the Dark Ages. And then, because Doom the Dark Ages is such a... it seemed to link to Quake so much, I decided to play through Quake, all of it. So I started with Quake 1, played through it, absolute classic. This is my first time playing through it on the Kex engine, which was the new official re-release that Bethesda put out a couple years ago. I had previously played it through Dark Places and Quake Spasm. Quake Spasm was my source port of choice up until playing it through Kex. The Kex engine has become my favorite source port for Quake. After playing through the first Quake, I played through Power Rangers Rita's Rewind. I finished it with my fiance. It's definitely a game that you could finish in one sitting, especially with friends. It goes up to 6 players. It starts off as 5 players, and you can unlock Tommy to play as the 6th player once you finish the game one time, which is very reminiscent of the Shredder's Revenge that came out a couple of years ago. Also had up to 6 players. Simple beat 'em up, but fun, especially in groups, and something that you can just kind of get through in one sitting. After that, I came back to Quake. I played Scourge of Armagon. I actually never got around to playing the Quake expansions somehow. I played the classic Quake many times, especially in college. I never played any of the expansions. So this is my first time playing Scourge of Armagon, and it was really good. I think the level design was even better than the base Quake game. And then after I played through that, I actually played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, which was the original Game Boy Yu-Gi-Oh! Game. I played it on the Early Days collection on Switch. It was weird to see pre-official rules Yu-Gi-Oh! With a focus on grinding. I actually enjoyed it. It's very primitive, and like I said, it doesn't follow the official card game rules because the official rules weren't established yet by the time this game came out. So it plays very different from what you'd expect from a normal Yu-Gi-Oh game. Very, emphasizing fusions and things like that. But it's worth checking out, especially if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh, just to kind of see the progression of how the card game evolved. After that, came back into Quake. I played Disillusion of Eternity. It's more Quake, so it's good. It was probably my least favorite of all of the Quake expansions, but I still enjoyed it. You know, it's still Quake at its core. It's just probably my least favorite of the official campaigns that have been released. So after that, I jumped into Dimension of the Past and Dimension of the Machine, the two newest Quake expansions made by Machine Games. Liked them both. I thought that Dimension of the Machine especially had some really cool level design, and that it was the hardest of all the campaigns. After that, jumped into Quake 2, which was my first time actually finishing Quake 2. The aesthetic and level design is not quite as good as Quake 1, but I liked the gameplay more, if that makes sense. It's really enjoyable, and I think that, you know, people should play Quake 2 even though it's different than Quake 1. Then I played Quake 2 64. I was surprised to learn that Quake 2 64 is not just an N64 port, but a completely standalone Quake 2 game with different levels and a more linear progression. It got tough towards the end because of a lack of ammo, but I really liked it. I could not imagine playing this game with an N64 controller, though. You know, playing this on a mouse and keyboard, you know, feeling that way, I cannot imagine playing it with an N64 controller. After that was Quake 2 The Reckoning. It's full of 90s level design bullshit, and I feel like the levels went on a little too long, but it's still Quake, so it was still fun. Then it was Quake 2 Ground Zero. I liked it more than The Reckoning. It had better level design, and it felt challenging without being cheap. Then was Quake 2 Call of the Machine, the newest Quake 2 expansion, also made by Machine Games. It is by far the best Quake 2 campaign. It has excellent level design, fun challenge, and I love the way that it linked back to Quake 1. After that, I played through Quake 4. It was probably my least favorite of the Quake games. Kind of similar to Doom 3 in the sense that it's slower, there's reloading, there's more of an emphasis on the horror atmosphere. But unlike Doom 3, I actually like Quake 4. I felt that the horror elements actually hit. It's fun and not tedious, it's challenging, and the combat still feels really good, even if it is slower compared to the other Quake games. I actually really recommend playing Quake 4. Because like I said, it is what Doom 3 wanted to be, but they actually made it good. After that, I played through the new mod by Rest in Pixels, Quake 2 Call of the Void. It is it continues the story of Call of the Machine and connects Quake 1 to Quake 2 in a very creative and well-made way. I really recommend this mod. It was, you know, it felt professional. It was so good. After that, I played No Players Online, which is a short, haunted PS1 game jam game. It was an interesting concept. It was fairly cryptic, and so it took me a while to figure out some of the endgame puzzles, oddly enough. And it was lacking in any gameplay depth, but I did like the concept and execution. This was released a couple of years ago, and I guess now it's considered a demo. At the time, it was just considered like a short game jam game. Now it's considered a demo with a spiritual successor that's a full-length game of the same title that actually released this year. Purely coincidental, I did not play this because I knew that the sequel or spiritual successor, whatever, was coming out. It was actually in my itch.io library to play for a while, and I was just looking for something short to jump into, and so I played it, and then upon looking up more of the game, I saw that there was the new title that was, at the time, coming out, and officially came out later this year. Eventually I might check it out. I know it has a more walking simmy horror upfrontness about it. But just because I did play the original, I might as well check it out at some point. After that was Silksong. I reviewed that in its entirety. Of course, again, really liked that, but you can watch my video if you want my full thoughts on Silksong. And then I played Taiwan Cool Fox, which was certainly one of the games of all time, and I also made a video for, so you can watch my full review to experience the magic and wonder that is Taiwan Cool Fox. After that, I played Metal Eden, which was a solid Doom, kind of Doom 2016, Doom Eternal-like game. Really fun shooting mechanics. I never really quite got how the XP system operated in that game, and I ran into a couple small bugs here and there. My biggest complaint about it was that overall I felt the game was too easy. I played on the hardest difficulty, and I still kind of breezed through it. But I enjoyed it a lot. It was really good. It's made by the devs of Ruiner and supposedly takes place in the same universe as Ruiner, but I didn't really notice any overt connections to Ruiner or references or anything like that. Ruiner is another game that I played years ago. It's a top-down action kind of shooter game, twin-stick-esque, cyberpunk, you know, whole thing, similar to Metal Eden. I really liked it. It's got a really good soundtrack. Both of them are worth checking out. Play Ruiner first, and then get on Metal Eden. They're both really good. After Metal Eden, I finished Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 2 Dark Duel Stories. This was for the Game Boy Color, which again I played on the Early Days collection on Switch. It's slightly more mechanically interesting than the first Duel Monsters game. However, the grind for cards in this game I found to be horrible. And the deck levels and everything like that was just extremely annoying. You have to play so many duels to level up your deck level and card options that it just becomes a tedious slog by the end of the game. It's extremely unbalanced pre-official rules. Very focused on fusions and things like that, and unless you grind for cards, you are going to get stomped by the later game duelists who are able to just drop, you know, cards immediately that have higher attack points than what it would take you to fuse cards together. So it's worth checking out if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh! And want to see how the rules for the card game evolved, but just know that it's a fucking slog. After that, I played Darkenstein 3D. It's a short and simple, but really fun Wolfenstein-inspired boomer shooter. It's got a wacky story and wacky characters, fun guns, good level design, nice enemy variety. It's a full 3D game, but there's no jumping. It plays more similar to like Wolfenstein would, except you have full degree of aiming motion. Overall, a solid experience. It's just a solid, goofy, short, classic-style boomer shooter, and it's free to play. So give it a try. Then I played Viscera Fest, which I feel is extremely underrated. A full review for it will be coming out in the next couple of weeks, so I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. But it's a fantastic game. I wish more people were talking about and playing, because it is one of the best indie first-person shooters that I have played in a long time. I would put it up with, you know, the modern Doom games and Dusk and those kind of games as a modern FPS staple. To be completely honest, it's really good, and I highly recommend it. And then the last game that I finished this year was Frog Legs. It is a very short, it took me about 20 minutes to play game that mixes arcade, like it's literally a Frogger parody. It mixes that with a kind of walking sim horror amnesia style, not really amnesia style, but like a kind of a horror puzzle solving thing that then turns into a boomer shooter. It's very silly. I'm pretty sure this must have been like a fan project or a student project or a game jam game or something. Because like I said, it's 20 minutes. I bought it for less than $1. It's very parody-esque. But for a cute 20-minute thing with frogs, worth playing. I also started but didn't finish Beyond Citadel, which is the sequel to The Citadel, which I reviewed a couple years back. It is a first-person shooter with an anime-style aesthetic. It's extremely violent and gory, has a realistic gun reload and jam mechanic. Really interesting. I fully intend to finish it. I really liked the first Citadel, so I'm looking forward to, you know, deep diving into Beyond Citadel and finishing that. And then I also started Dread Tome. Did not have a chance to finish that either. I believe it's a student project, another first-person shooter. Has some interesting things going for it. Would like to see fleshed out if they do make a full-fledged game. It is extremely short. Like I said, it is a student project, but it is free. So, and then other than that, I of course played like reoccurring games, Smash Bros. And Mario Kart and things like that. Killing Floor. Been playing a lot of Mario Party, the newest one, Jamboree on the Switch with my fiance. It's just a good casual game that we like to play together. And then we also started playing Fallout 76 together. She and I watched the Fallout TV show, and with the season of last year, she wanted to get into Fallout, but just never did. I mean, I set it up for her, but she was just, at the time, she wanted to play it, but also didn't want to play it. And so this year, I was like, why don't we play the one that's co-op? That way you don't have to feel like you're being thrust into this single player. She likes video games. She's not like a massive gamer. So we did. We started playing Fallout 76 together, and I think it's decent. It's a lot better than it was when I first played it, when it first came out. They've added a lot of content. The bugs, I haven't really noticed anything crazy, to be completely honest. Beyond this fucking terrible glitch where you can't walk if your frame rate goes too high. So you do have to limit your frame rate to like 143 frames, or else you won't be able to walk, which is fucking stupid. But beyond that, I'm enjoying it. It's definitely a more it's a different Fallout experience. Very emphasis on the survival aspect, which if you played Fallout 4 survival mode, it's kind of similar to that. With a multiplayer aspect, it's kind of the biggest complaint I have is that even though it's multiplayer and we've been teaming up to do it, the quests don't directly correlate. Like, we both have to do our quests independently of one another, which is like, it defeats the purpose of it being a co-op game. But it's still fun. Like, we're still enjoying just kind of roaming the wasteland and doing our thing. Beyond that, that was really all I was kind of playing this year. Looking into next year, some videos that I have planned. I guess I say next year. This video's coming out in 2026, so coming out soon. But this year, next year, whatever. Coming out in 2026. I have, I know I promised 2 more Doom the Dark Ages videos back when I reviewed the Dark Ages, and those are definitely happening. I have the habit of saying I'm working on videos and then not getting them done. I will get these done. Those 2 are a gameplay analysis, or I should say a live combat analysis, and a defense of the soundtrack. They are going to happen. I need to replay the game again since they have restructured the combat, and so it'll happen. The other one that is definite is Viscera Fest review. That one should be coming out soon. 2026 is the 10-year anniversary of Under the Bun. We first started in 2016 with our first review for Doom 2016. So this year we have a couple anniversary special videos that we are going to do. Juan Snow's going to get in on it, so we'll both be back in it for a couple of videos there, and yeah, we'll see where the next decade takes us, but it's kind of cool. Obviously this isn't a huge channel, but it's been fun. There are a handful of people that do watch it, and people that talk with me on Twitter and things like that. So just to celebrate that we've been doing this for 10 years now, we're going to do a couple anniversary specials. And then as far as new games coming out next year, or this year, 2026, the number one game that I am looking forward to right now is Mouse PI for Hire. I will be reviewing that. If you are not aware of what Mouse PI for Hire is, it's a first-person shooter that has been described as kind of a mix between Doom and BioShock, with a rubber hose 1930s cartoon aesthetic. Looks great. I am hyped for it beyond belief. I thought it was going to come out this year, and so I am extremely excited for it. That'll probably be the first new game that I review in 2026. Beyond that, I'm not quite sure. I don't want to make more promises to make videos that I can't keep, because I can't keep my fucking promises to make videos. But yeah, so that is pretty much it for this year's 2026 recap. I know it wasn't the most exciting. I don't have a collection of games to show you this year or anything like that. But yeah, keep your eye out for the Bun Awards, which will be dropping probably the same day this video, if not the day after. So yeah, so hopefully I'll see you throughout the year, and keep watching. And yeah, we just want to say thanks. So have a good year, and we will see you in the next Under the Bun.